got here, right?
No.
He's hauling these people for money. You got a collar is what he's doing, but sometimes they commingle dope and
No, but
he,
did you see how squatted the back end?
there's 8 people in there.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know that. They put an extra row of seats in there.
Yeah. So he's getting paid to haul these people, probably to Maryland, I would say, if I had my
He
guess.
said they all work together, is what he's telling me, but he's the only one that knows half English.
So let me ask you this. They don't have any luggage in there, right? And if you get them out, they're going to have a tube of toothpaste and they're going to have toothbrushes in their pockets, I guarantee it.
Well, another Democrat narrative dead on arrival. This perfectly crafted narrative of the hero Kilmar Abrego Garcia falls apart in light of this footage, which it never really stood on its own legs anyway. The so-called Maryland man who the Trump administration has been accused of, who the Trump administration has accused of being an MS-13 gang member and whom the Democrats insist is just an innocent bystander in Trump's war on Hispanic Americans, turns out to have been involved in a massive human trafficking ring, as this body cam footage obtained exclusively by the Tennessee Star shows. But things are getting out of control as the Democrats obstruct the Trump administration's necessary attempts to protect this country's open borders. Another recent report shows how 50 illegals were arrested at the southwestern border with cash and guns. I wonder what they were planning to do with those 2 items. Nothing good, we can all assume. The opposition to Trump's policies, well, it makes no sense on face value, but you and my audience understands it's part of the Marxist ideology that has infiltrated our country. And as Todd Bensman wrote recently in The Federalist, quote, "The coming war on Trump's mere remake of Democratic Party deportation programs lays bare the profound double standard hypocrisy of the activists waging it, along with their partisan media allies who so willfully believe that a unique new MAGA inhumanity is afoot. It isn't. This is an old story with new politically motivated framing." And join us now to talk about this and more is war correspondent Michael Yon, who just happens to be stateside this time. So we're almost in the same time zone, Michael, which is a rare occurrence for the 2 of us.
And in the same hemisphere. And yeah, and
right.
you know, I'm actually waiting for Todd Bensman right now. We're going to go out together and look at some things. We've been across the border together. We've been to Mexico together and that sort of thing. And so, unfortunately, he's just a few minutes late, so he couldn't quite make it on the show because he wanted to come on. There's so many things to say. You know, recently Todd wrote about a man who had come from Mauritania, Africa, and was yelling Allahu Akbar, and he shot a Jewish man, right? And so that guy, I looked him up in my records. He came through the Darien Gap on January 2nd, 2023, and then a couple months later, he came into Texas. So, I mean, these sorts of things are normal. I see people I saw Todd's story, and I saw the guy's name. I looked it up. Boom, there he is. And so the same with Laken Riley's murderer. He also came through, Ibarra was his name. He came through the Darien Gap. He's in the records. I know what bus he got on. His brothers came, Ibarra's brothers. That's the guy from Mauritania, right? And so he from Africa. And so he shot the Jewish guy. He came through Darien Gap. In the news reports, he was yelling Allahu Akbar. You know, when I said that about a year or so ago, you're going to hear people yelling Allahu Akbar, and they're going to be like on golf courses in Palm Beach killing Jewish people, but they will have come through the Darien Gap in many cases, and they will have been helped by HIAS, the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society. Everybody who comes through the Darien Gap, everybody who comes through the Darien Gap is helped by Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society. A former board member on the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society there's HIAS right there. Look at all their little dots where their little locations are. We've been to quite a few of them. But, Alejandro Mayorkas, Alex Mayorkas, the former Department of Homeland Security chief, he was a board member on HIAS. He was a board member because he's the child of Sephardic Jews from Cuba. That's why I keep warning people. You literally have Jewish donors that are helping these guys get to the United States to yell Allahu Akbar and shoot people in synagogues. You can't make this up. This is like a movie, right? that, and the highest office as of last week was still open in the Darien Gap. So they have an office down by San Vicente Camp, right off of Highway 1. I almost leased that office, but they got it before me. It's right beside the Tenose Hotel. So for those who are watching this from the Darien, and I know actually some people do, you know exactly where it's at. Take a left on Highway 1 as you're heading towards Yavitsa before you get to Metati. You'll see the highest office. They took their sign off the door because of the work that we did, and it was very uncomfortable for them. But I've eaten breakfast with their people down in Darien many, many times, because when they go to the office in the morning at about 8 o'clock, they eat breakfast at the Tenose Hotel, every day, or 5 days a week. And so these are the people that actually helped more than 1 million people through the Darien Gap, as did IOM, the International Organization for Migration, the UNHCR, Doctors Without Morals, Red Cross, the Norwegian Refugee Council. Then when you get up to Mexico, you've got people like Catholic Charities. Of course, this new Pope and the last Pope were all for flooding our borders, and Europe as well. Of course, they keep a wall around the Vatican. But, Catholic Charities in the United States and in Mexico, I've been to some of their places in the United States and in Mexico. And they're running a huge human trafficking. So it's not just Jews doing it. It's Lutherans at Lutheran services. It's Catholics at Catholic Charities. Now I get it. There's many sorts of Catholics, and a lot of the Catholic, my very close friends are very much against this. And most of my Jewish friends are very much against. Certainly, if they're close friends, they're very much against this. And like for instance, I took. A couple of people down to the Darien Gap, Brett Weinstein and Laura Loomer. They're both Zionists, and they saw Hias and they attacked them. I mean, they attacked Hias immediately. So it's not like this is all Jews or all Catholics or all Lutherans. There's Masako and I down at Yavitsa. We're at the edge of the Darien Gap there with some Indian children. Those children swim across that river in the background, by the way. And these kids swim like fish. And so we're down there all the time with the Indians and with the other Panamanians as well, watching the floods come through. Now, a lot of those end up here in Texas. Todd Bensman wrote in one of his books, which one? I think that book was Overrun. In the book Overrun, in the last chapter, he talks about a colonia, which is a colony north of Houston. And he took me to that colony. It's a city made for 200,000 invaders, illegal invaders, right? 200,000. So Todd took me there, put a drone up. It was too big for a drone. I said, let's go get us a helicopter. But we came back with an airplane. I said, this thing's huge. So I came back later with, Daily Wire and Epoch Times and congressmen and Doc Pete Chambers and Vandersteel. Everybody showed up, right? And we put it on the map. It ended up with a lot of lawsuits and that sort of thing. But Governor Abbott here in Texas, whom I've warned about so many times, now even the staunchest conservatives realize Abbott is World Economic Forum, which I said from the beginning before he was elected, and it's just amazingly obvious. But Governor Abbott got a huge donation from the developer at the Colony Ridge, which is a guy named Trey Harris. Trey Harris, of course, he's known for being pugilistic. He was a boxer, but he's pugilistic in the courtroom too, so he could sue me for defamation or whatever. But truth is a great cleansing agent, and it would bring a lot more attention to it because it's actually true. He did actually donate to Governor Abbott, and Governor Abbott has not done anything about those colonies, and there are more colonies out there. There are others, most of which haven't been written about, but soon. Just pay attention to Todd Bensman, and I'll be with Todd, like in 20 minutes.
Yeah, it'll be fascinating what you find, right, on this trip stateside. I'm very interested. You brought up Laura Loomer. She and I just had a conversation last week about her time in the Darien Gap, and she said it was incredible. I mean, it was just an incredible trip for her, and she learned so much. What do you and Todd expect to see? You mentioned there's these colonies that were set up. Clearly, the Trump administration is in office now. Does that in any way put pressure on Governor Abbott to act differently? You have criticized him for years now, suggesting he's a tool of the WEF. But does the Trump administration, are they able to hamper that relationship Is it harder for Abbott to act out the WEF
Excuse
ideals?
me. I'm sorry. I've got some allergy
It's
here.
okay. Well,
I'm sorry.
it is allergy season.
The only place I've had allergy problems in the past was in Poland, and now I've got it under these oak trees.
Oh man, I'm allergic to
So,
oaks. Sorry, I completely sympathize with you. What do you think you and Todd are going to see now that on this trip to our southern border?
Todd doesn't actually want me to talk about it yet, so I'm going to let him cover it.
Sure. Okay.
He's taking. We're cross leveling our information for the next couple of days together. Let him report it, because and I'm not sure. But the bottom line is it's more invasion stuff. I mean, so it's not top secret, but Todd needs to be the one that releases it.
Okay, understood. In talking about, we always, every time you're on, I get a barometer from you on how the Trump administration is doing. You say the infrastructure is still there in regards to the Darien Gap. The lights can easily be flipped back on. Has there been any, what is your takeaway from the last week, let's say, in the Trump administration as it relates to deportations and combating the invasion at the southern border?
I've got somebody going back to Darien today, actually, so I'll get a report later tonight. But the bottom line is it's just a water spigot. It's been shut off, but it's a spring-loaded water spigot, and it can just, if you don't keep it turned off, it's going to turn itself back on. And so it's clear that the architecture is completely in place. The Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, IOM, Norwegian Refugee Council, so many more, Red Cross, they're all still there. They're all still doing it. And so they're still busy right now invading Europe, right, and Canada. Keep in mind, these are our allies. When our allies are destroyed, which is what's happening, we're a lot weaker. And as you can see, the information war to rip us apart from our allies has been quite intense. The relationship with Europe has obviously soured. I've watched for years now how our State Department has ripped apart our relationships overseas, for instance, in Philippines and in Thailand. I wrote about it many times starting in 2014 in Thailand when there was a big coup there that I was in. But our ambassador there, Christy Kinney, to Thailand, not Taiwan, but Thailand, she was doing everything possible to destroy our relationship. At first, I thought it was just incompetence, but it was so, let's say her destruction was so thorough and good that it had to be intentional. And then, I backtracked on her. She did similar in Ecuador and she did similar in Philippines, I guess, when she was ambassador to those places. And also then we had similar happen in Japan with Kennedy when she was ambassador. It's just one thing after another. They're clearly sabotaging our soft power. And it's been quite effective. By the way, let me say one thing. We've had a triple header down in Panama. We've had Secretary of State come, Rubio. Then came Secretary of Defense, Hegseth. We stayed in the same hotel. I talked with his guys quite a lot. And then I think what's not in the news was the director of CIA came a couple of weeks ago. I'm not sure if that's reported
I didn't see
at all.
that.
I don't think it was in the news, but it was. But
John Ratcliffe was down in Panama 2 weeks ago. So there's a huge focus on Panama.
Just before I jumped on the airplane, he was there. About a few days before I jumped on the airplane. Yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, and
so
again,
what does that tell you? What does that tell you, Mike?
All the players are at the table and everything. I mean,
okay.
Again, the reason I spend so much time in Panama is it will be a zone of conflict. There's no question about it. It already is. It's just soft conflict at this point. But you can see, for instance, China is slowly colonizing Panama, as are others. So Panama, I tell the Panamanians all the time, there's a lot of people that want Panama. You're a juicy lamb. You're wearing pork chops. You are surrounded by predators. And you must choose wisely right now. Your existence, your actual life depends on it, much less sovereignty, because somebody will take this. It's just a matter of who. And so you better choose very wisely. And do you want to be with China? I mean, you might not want to be, feeling like you're colonized by the United States and the United States doesn't want to colonize Panama. We never colonized Panama, by the way. We only had the canal under treaty. We created Panama on November 3rd, 1903. Panama was created. We did it so that we could create the Panama Canal. So we created Panama out of a slice of Colombia, and then we immediately made a treaty that gave us the canal, permanently, and then we gave it away years later. So we built the canal. So that 10-mile stretch around the canal is 5 miles on each side. That was ours. But the rest of Panama was, and the United States put in a huge amount of effort in Panama to keep it stable, because part of our security system for the Panama Canal was to have a stable Panama, right? To have the,
Yes.
for instance, we got the Indians getting along with each other, get everybody happy, because we want a stable country. We did the same thing over in, because like the Kuna Indians were fighting a lot. That's one of the groups of Indians. Americans just hired them. I mean, nobody could get along with Kuna, but Americans got along great with Kuna. So I'm out with Kuna all the time, and Imbra. Like, Americans get along great with the
Nice.
Indians there. But we worked hard to stabilize. We did the same in Thailand, by the way. Put huge effort into stabilizing Thailand and helping King Rama IX. With anthropological warfare, you can just reverse the polarity and cause everybody to split up. But we helped King Rama IX stabilize Thailand. He did an incredibly great job. And you got everybody in the Thaiification program speaking Thai, just like in Panama, we got everybody speaking Spanish. You can still speak Kuna, still speak Imbara, still speak whatever your indigenous language is. No problem, please do. But everybody needs to speak Spanish in Panama. And in Thailand, there's so many languages, I don't even know how many there are. There's 17 in the Isan area alone. So we got everybody speaking Thai in the Thaiification program, but speak your own. If you want to speak Lao, Karen, Khmer, it doesn't matter. Go ahead and speak it. But we need everybody on one sheet of music and proud to be Thai. And it worked. Thailand has been, that's why they call it Teflon Thailand. I mean, it gets hit with tsunamis and they just like stand right up like bamboo again. Thailand's very tough, but now I see the polarity reversed and people are trying to split Thailand apart.
I agree. You know what? That was really sage advice you gave to the Panamanians, Michael Yon. Hopefully they will heed your words of wisdom. It's so good to see you. And let's set up a time to talk when you and Todd can talk about what you're seeing at the border, because I think a lot of Americans would like to know the reality of the situation on the ground based on what the Trump administration wants to do and is trying to do. But as you and I both know, there are many, many forces trying to work against their efforts, some within their own party. So I'll be very interested in seeing what you and Todd find out. Thanks for joining us. And tell Todd we said hello and we're sorry we missed him.
I will. I think he's waiting at the gate, so I'll tell him and we'll get right back to you. Bye, Emerald.
Sounds good. Thanks, Michael.